I thought you were going to say, yeah, that's going to be a hard no for me, dog.
We're going to read these comments. We'll get Leroy in here. But this was the question we asked the internet yesterday. Let's take tag board full here, Mike. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in the Browns' defense shutting down the Panthers' offense on Sunday? We got a bunch of answers.
Shutting them down?
Shutting them down. This is our most replied to tweet in UCSS history.
Wow.
Over 170 replies. Let's take the first one, Anthony.
Shutting them down, I consider
Dale says
less
8
than
out of
10
10,
points.
but there's a 20% chance Baker thinks we're the Bengals and lights us up. Let's take the next one. It's a nice little gift from Strong Clee fan number 9.
Yeah.
Next one, Anthony.
Okay.
Brad says 2. Not very confident.
The Super Bowl winner, Brad Johnson.
We can't do a better
weighing in.
tweet than just a random 2 with a Bobby Knight picture.
That's it, 2.
And this last one.
Bad job out of you guys.
170 responses, and they picked that one.
Ignored the number, but this is from Norman. He says 5. They started off incredibly slow last year. I think that will happen again.
Wow,
Will
he's
Clowney,
giving detail here.
Miles Garrett, Newsom, among others, haven't played all preseason. CMC, Moore, Higgins, and Anderson might have decent days. One positive is the Carolina O-line is pretty bad. And who better to ask about
Norman
that
is lost in the soup on that one.
than our man Leroy Hoard, who texted me yesterday with the first exclamation point he's ever
Can you
sent
tag
me.
board his text?
No, I can't tag
You
board
can't-
text. But he did say it's football season and Leroy is
Let's
fired.
go!
What's up, Leroy?
Yeah.
Let's go!
That's it. What's happening?
Leroy. Game week.
What's up?
What's up?
What's
Leroy,
up?
Leroy,
Hey,
you
by the
going,
way,
you going down
by-
in
by the
fantasy,
way,
bro.
If that question were to go the other way, then Baker would still be a Brown.
What do you mean?
Explain that.
You understand what I'm
Explain that.
saying?
No.
Explain that.
That if you say, who do you trust more, the
I see.
Browns defense or Baker Mayfield?
Yeah.
If it was 83% Baker Mayfield, he'd still be a Brown.
Well, right. Let's.
Yeah, but I
It's
mean,
the
you're asking
fans,
the Cleveland
but, yeah.
fan base. You know, it's.
But I
it-
get what you.
No,
I
but
get your
still,
point.
but-
I get your point.
But still, if you had that much confidence in Baker Mayfield, he'd still be playing
If
with
the
the
team
Browns.
did, right? If the team had that much, if the team
Right.
was 83% confident in Baker, he'd still be here.
Right.
Yes.
I think if you
And
ask that question on a national
you
level,
brought in the Lamborghini and got rid of the Hummer, so everybody want to drive the Lamborghini. I don't care if it's snowing. I'm driving my ride. And that's
I
how they
paid
feel
for it,
about the
damn it,
Sean
I'm
Watson.
using it.
Yeah, I may have bought it in the winter, but I'll wait till sunnier days.
Leroy, we'll start with this question. We asked the guys yesterday, and I'm curious your thoughts. How many points do you think the Browns will have to score to win on Sunday?
I'd say right around 20.
It's been pretty consistent, really.
I think, you know, if Carolina scores 20 points, the Browns will be in trouble. Not because they can't score more than that, but because you don't want to ever be in a situation where you feel that you have to score, especially with a guy like Jacoby Brissett.
Right.
It's not a knock on him. It's just the way it is.
Not who he is.
You want a quarterback to take chances when he wants to, not when he's forced to.
Right.
And if it becomes a shootout or Carolina gets up on the Browns, then I think he may feel that way. It's really hard. It's really hard as a player in a capacity when you're down not to press. In fact, and Ty, I'll tell you this, when you're on the sideline and you down, the first thing the coaches tell you is relax. A lot of football left. Relax. Don't press. Just relax. And sometimes that's hard to do. So I think basically I'm saying there's going to be a race to 20.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Whoever gets to 20, because I would say this, I don't want, if you're a Carolina fan, you don't want that pressure on Baker either.
That's true.
Against that defense,
Yeah.
you want him to force the ball. You want him to, force trying to make big plays instead of letting them happen. Yeah, that's always gotten Baker in trouble. Yeah. So I think the same applies for both teams. But at the same time, one point that everybody has seemed to make is, will we say the Browns' strength is their front four?
Yeah.
Right? The pass rush? And what is Carolina's weakness at this point?
Yeah.
Their O-line.
Right.
That's a bad matchup.
Yeah, you
You don't want your best going up against your worst. You don't.
Yeah.
What
Leroy,
about the? Oh, go ahead,
yeah,
Bull.
Leroy. I want your take, the running back perspective on Christian McCaffrey, because obviously he's missed a lot of time the last 2 years. But when he's been on the field, he's continued to be as great as he was before he was getting injured. You know, we talk about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt all the time. We know how great they are. What makes him special, and what can the Browns do as him being the biggest weapon they have to at least slow him down a little bit?
I can give you a very good comparison. What would Eric Metcalf look like if he got 287 carries?
Yeah.
Because they do very similar things. You know, out of the backfield. You know, Metcalf didn't get the carries because he got the catches. But McCaffrey gets the catches and he gets the carries. And part of that is out of necessity. So I'm interested to see how they go about using him if they feel they have other options. You see what I mean? Does that make them more dangerous because you can't just focus in and see what McCaffrey's doing? They have other options.
Who are their other options? We talked that.
Well, they have Chuba Hubbard in the backfield, and Dante Foreman, who had a nice did a good job.
I'm talking about the pass. I know you were focusing on the running backs, but I think that Robbie Anderson is a guy that the Browns have to pay attention to, and I also think Higgins is too.
Right.
But obviously, you know, Moore is going to be his number one target, you would think. Do they have the other weapons offensively where if the Browns decide that they are going to key on McCaffrey and take him out of the game, does Baker have other horses around him that can beat the Browns?
Sure, because they're NFL players. So, you know, you go into it, and Tyvis will tell you, like, an offense's dream is to have one-on-one pass coverage. I don't care who it is. So if you pay too much attention to one guy, then that means that somebody got to be one-on-one coverage.
Right.
Simple as that. Now, are they good enough? Sometimes. But here's what you're hoping on. There could be receivers running down the field wide open. You going to have that amount of time? Right. So from the Browns' perspective, that heat on him, force him to make decisions that he doesn't want to make. Force him to maybe look in the wrong direction, because we've seen many a times a quarterback and the wide receivers left, but he see that rush coming from the right. So you can do things defensively to force him to look in a certain direction. It's just a matter of where he can pick him up, whether he can do the things that he needs to do to be patient.
And you know, Leroy, and we talked about it on here. It's there's sometimes, have you seen where coaches, go into a game and, sometimes they say players kind of ease their way into a game. Do you sometimes see where coaches ease their way into a game plan and they don't start really throwing their best stuff, their darts, into the third quarter? And you're like, well, he done already got warmed up now. Like, he comfortable now. We should have had this first quarter.
Most of them. There's probably 25 of the 32 teams that script the first 10 plays. Is that not warming up?
That's a fact.
So most of them do. And what you want to do is you want to put that defense in as many situations as possible in those first 10 to 15 plays. So then you can then game plan on what they doing this week instead of going by what you saw them do against another offense last week. That's in-game adjustments right there. A lot of coaches do it. It was probably made, famous by the West Coast offense. West Coast offense used to script the first 10 plays in every game. So still do. I've been on teams that do it. It helps your offense when you go into a game, you know exactly what 10 plays you're going to run up front. Or at least,
Did you like that? You
didn't have to worry about what was happening, but you also have to keep in mind this. That's if everything goes to plan.
Sure.
Which never happens.
I know. I always
Right?
thought that was tricky because so much of play calling is situational. And if you've got a run scripted on second down and you took an 8-yard sack and you're 2nd and 18, I would think that you'd want to go with the flow of the game and let the situation dictate what you're doing, not a preconceived play call sheet.
Depends on when it is. Now, they have that card, and that card has everything. 1st and 10, 2nd and long, 2nd and short, all those different situations on the card, and you work on, each scenario during the week. You work on all scenarios during camp so that everybody's familiar. A lot of times during the game, when your offense is clicking, the quarterback and the players have an idea of what you're going to run before you even call it, because we've gone over it during the week.
Right.
So from that standpoint, it becomes, everybody's on the same page. It may get tweaked a little bit with the down and situation, but that's just football. That's just the way it goes. You're willing and ready to make adjustments based on what the defense does, based on what the situations are. But it always feels, it seems like everybody is at ease knowing what's going to happen to start the game.
Leroy.
And so it always, there's a lot of teams that do it. And sometimes you ever see one of those games where the team comes in and they go right down the field right away?
Yeah.
And then they never do nothing the rest of the game?
Yeah. We've seen that a lot.
Because
Here.
the other team's adjusting too. The other team's adjusting too. So while you have your plays scripted and they work, they looking at your stuff too.
Right.
And they saying, oh, okay, 1st and 10, this is what they doing. Let's do this. And now it's just a game of back and forth adjusting or whatever. But here's the thing. I don't care whether a play is scripted or not. A series or the beginning of the game is scripted to make the offense feel comfortable. But at some point, this is for everybody. Some point, you got to line up and look at that guy across from you. And it don't matter what the play is. You got to beat that guy.
Right.
And if you don't do that, you can script all 100 plays. It ain't going to work because you can't block the guy across from you. So when I see, you guys talking about, the other options and Christian McCaffrey and this or that, okay, who going to block Myles Garrett? Who going to block Jadeveon Clowney?
And my question, I'm glad you brought that up, Leroy, because my question is, say they can't, what will be that, as an offensive mind and you played offense, if your offensive line couldn't block, what was the route that y'all went on offense to try to get plays done?
Inside runs. When you got two pass rush, you let them go and run right underneath them. And then you know what that does? Now we got a little looky-loo. Let's look inside before we pass rush.
Yeah.
Right? They peeking. And that's the game. You start peeking, you ain't pass rushing because we running it down your throat. Now we got a two-way go.
So our defensive tackles got to come to play.
Right. So what happens is this. There's ways around that. If you going to let Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett do what they do, then you got to be ready to fill those gaps inside with a safety, with a linebacker, and you got to be able to plug those holes a little bit differently because you leaving a gap. You leaving a gap with your two outside guys. Or, here's what I do, run a game. Run a TE twist.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So now you putting another guy out, and then you bringing that same pass rush up the middle. So there's ways around it. Here's the thing, guys. If you time it up right and you catch them before they make an adjustment, that's where the big plays come. So it's all about being ahead of the game.
Leroy, here's what scares me. Your conversation with Tyvis led to Ty saying, well, our defensive tackles better come to play, and you co-signed that. That makes me a little nervous because I don't know what we have there.
All you need, listen, all I know about defensive tackles is this. Unless your name is Aaron Donald, or your name was John Randall, who set the bar on inside guys getting sacks.
Right.
Right? Your job as an inside guy, and they've been some of the biggest defensive linemen I've ever seen in my life. I introduced you to one Gilbert Brown.
Right.
I think he tackled me with a pinky one time. Dude it was ridiculous.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Man.
Yeah, we don't have that.
But
dude.
their job is to take up space.
Yep.
They don't make many plays, but here's what they do. Disrupt an offense. You get push, you get pressure, you do whatever you can. Because if the pass rush is there, it's coming from the outside, but the pressure from the inside is what gets them there. If you run in the football and you attack the middle of the line of scrimmage with your DNs, if you get them up inside, or your tackles, you get them up inside and you create pressure, there's nowhere for that running back to run. The one thing I'm going to tell you as a running back, I can deal with anything. I can deal with a guy running free. I can't deal with my offensive lineman getting pushed back into me.
Right.
Hey, Leroy.
There's nowhere to go. It looks like a wall closing in on you. So they don't have to make plays. They just got to be disruptive.
Yeah.
Just cause havoc. There's people to make plays. So that's all they have to do.
Hey, Leroy, Anthony Schwartz, there's been a lot of talk. Everybody's frustrated with him. People want him gone. I get it. He couldn't catch the ball last year. He couldn't catch the ball in the preseason. But they drafted him in the 3rd round. They want to make something out of this guy. Would you try to get him involved in some way early, even if it's handing him the ball or throwing a quick screen pass or something to give him a little confidence at the beginning of the game? Or is it too far past the point with you?
What happens is that guys get anxious, right? And sometimes you want something so bad that you can't relax and perform. And so it becomes difficult. What I would say is they have to find a way to get him comfortable in a football game.
Right.
And I don't know how to do it. I mean, for me, I got comfortable once I got hit in the face. It was like a wake-up call. Hello. Okay, all right. But everybody don't get it like that, right? Sometimes you run 3 or 4 pass patterns before you even get a look. And the thing about wide receivers, you don't know when it's coming. And so I don't know how to get him involved and get him relaxed so that he can just go out and play. But let's not act like just because he was drafted in the 3rd round that mean they're obligated.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you go look at the waiver wire. There's guys that got drafted in the 1st round in 2020 don't have a job.
Leroy, let me
go ahead.
Let me ask you this. At some point in time, I watch these games, and you've played on good teams, you played on bad teams. And it just seems to me the good teams, the solid, legitimate Super Bowl contending teams, when they see games like this on the schedule and it's a mediocre to bad offensive line, it's a journeyman quarterback who has some issues and he's starting for the first time. The good teams, the ones that I see, the Patriots or the perennial powers that are always Steelers, the Ravens, they're always at the top of the food chain. They take care of these games. These games, they go in, they know what they are, they know who they are, they take care of them and move out of the way. At some point, don't the Browns have to come into these type games, handle business and move on rather than making everything difficult?
Hey, we had this conversation a while ago. I told y'all, it don't matter who playing quarterback. That's not going to win you the game. What's going to win you the game is running the football in defense.
Yep.
Know who you are.
Wait a second, Leroy. Wait a second. What are you talking about? This is the NFL 2022. What do you mean it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback?
Because you're the Cleveland Browns right now, and the guy you want playing quarterback is suspended. So you got to go in with a different attitude.
You got to do it another way.
Yeah,
You got to do it another way.
What you trying to do? You trying to wait for Deshaun, or you trying to win games now?
I get it. I
know
thought you
who
were saying
you
it doesn't
are.
matter. I thought you were saying it doesn't
Not
matter.
at this,
I get it.
But the
I get
Browns,
it.
it don't.
Not now.
Not right
They
now
ain't got
for the
they
first
guy.
11.
Yeah, they can't worry
Right.
about it. Yeah, I got you.
Right.
All right.
Leroy.
You know what I'm saying? Guess what? Let me explain something to you.
Yeah. Explain it.
As complicated as people want to make football,
Yeah.
it really isn't. I know a whole bunch of average quarterbacks with a great defense and a running game that's had success.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
You telling me the Browns can't do that?
Yeah, sure.
Because what is the strength of their team?
The run and the D.
Pressure on the quarterback, running the football. I'm not worried about the other stuff. If you don't take care of that, if you don't dominate in the areas that you are good at, you're not going to win.
100%.
True.
Yeah.
100%.
So when we talk about the Browns right now, we're not talking about Jacoby Brissett.
That's right.
He going to need to make some plays, sure. But that's not why you're going to win.
You're right. That's right.
So let's just, look, we all want the Browns to score 30-plus points. We all want them to have success slinging it all over the place. We ain't there yet. And that's okay. It don't mean you can't win games. And I'm going to tell y'all a story. Back in 2001, Brian Billick was the coach of the Baltimore Ravens, right? They win the Super Bowl 5 weeks without scoring an offensive touchdown.
That's crazy.
Say that to yourself.
Trent
Well, you can't
Dilfer.
win that way anymore, though.
So what you saying?
I don't think.
Why not?
What you saying,
think he can.
Leroy, is that Demetric Felton is gonna be? It's a big game for him in the return game, then, because we got to find some way to put some points on the board.
Look, there comes moments in a season or during a game when guys get bumped up, banged up, guys get injured, and your coach comes in there and he say, look, it don't matter, because on Sunday we gonna line up 11 on 11 and we got to be ready to play. So whoever it is, do your work and let's go out there and play. Now, the thing about this situation is your best players are available. So have your great players be great. If Nick Chubb is great, if Myers is great, okay?
They win.
If you go Denzel Ward on the outside, if he's, you telling me they can't win? Sure, it might look ugly. I don't care. You know what we want right now? Just rack up W's.
That's it.
That
all
take
that
a
matters.
2-0 win.
If y'all come in if y'all come into the locker room after the game and say, "Woo, that was an ugly win," I don't care. One under the win column.
Not like don't
And
play
we going in the right
football where you
direction.
need style points.
No, you don't.
Leroy, Lomas Brown once told me that the first game of the season is the anxiety game. More anxiety for that game than any other game. Do you agree? And if so, why?
I agree with him at his position, but playing a contact position, soon as you get hit, anxiety be gone. Out. You get lit up a couple of times, right? Here's when I know it's football time. See, when you practice, you can have a piece of double mint gum in your mouth. You know, you keep your mouthpiece in your sock.
Yes, sir.
You don't have no knee pads or thigh pads on. You don't have no elbow pads. You got the little cute jersey rolled up on. You trying to stay cool because it's hot. But on game day, as soon as the game starts, your mouthpiece come out your sock. You ain't worried about chewing no damn gum. Yeah. There's some anxiety.
Speak for yourself, Leroy, because I like to not go without a mouthpiece because I got to make calls and adjustments and I want them to hear me.
Hey, I tell you what, if you got busted in the mouth enough, you'll learn how to talk with that thing in your mouth. Hey, I didn't think I'd ever play football with shin pads on. But guess what? I start getting my shins lit up because everybody hit me low. And I went right to the liquor store and got me some Neymars.
you know, Leroy, these skill positions, they start coming out there.
Oh, my
and I used to say they coming out here in pantyhose. I'm like, bro, y'all got leggings on with no pads on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do y'all know we hitting out here?
Well, the defense ain't. Defense ain't getting here.
They just chicken fighting out there.
They outlawed
They
it. You
just-
can't do
wait.
that.
Hey, Bush, here's the worst part about this.
Here we
Right?
go.
So I got mouthpiece, elbow, shin pads, big shoulder pads, neck roll. I'm ready for some physical activity, right? And they the ones talking the most trash. They going back and forth. Nobody go hit nobody. In fact, when the DB and wide receiver get in the fight, the whole NFL's like, what? What are we doing?
Wait, Leroy.
We got to bring Robert, and we got to bring Let's bring Robert Smith in with Leroy too.
Yeah, let's get the Buckeye and the
Good.
Wolverine on the
ask-
screen at the same time.
I can ask them both this question. As running backs.
He didn't wear a mouthpiece. And ask him what happened.
Wait a minute.
Ask him what happened.
Yep.
Yep, tell him what happened.
Well, we can't hear.
Oh, we can't hear
We
Robert.
can't hear
I
Rob.
can't hear you.
His audio's on. We're getting levels.
It's not coming through for some reason.
It ain't coming through.
Hold on, Robert. We're getting your
Don't waste
picture,
nothing.
but no audio.
Don't waste nothing. Hold on.
Yeah. Hold your fire. Hold your fire.
I just want to know.
Robert, I got some big old food eaters up in here. Robert got them little chicklets. You know, he eats salads. I needed some meat eaters in my mouth.
Leroy had a pacifier in. Is that a binky?
Hey, no lie. Hey, I never used to wear that big thing. We was playing Detroit, and I got pushed, and I fell on the sideline, and I split my lip from here to here. And they brought me in the locker room and gave me the Rambo stitches, right? And it was brutal. It hurt. I played the rest of the game, but then when I got back to Minnesota, they took me to the hospital, and the plastic surgeon came and fixed me up.
See, I know y'all did. So I knew what it was. Like when you young, you be watching football, right? And you don't be really knowing that stuff hurt. Has there ever been a time that you was like, you got hit and you forgot, like, I'm a grown man and this is my job, and you be like, hold on, I'm really hurt. Let me get me up. I'm really hurt right now. What am I doing?
I'm gonna tell you like this. Everybody used to say I fumble a lot. And that may or may not be true. I ain't gonna deny it or confirm it. Right? But here's the deal. You got a couple of buttons on your body that when you get hit, you ain't thinking about that football. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Facts.
So
No, that's
I'm
wrong.
gonna tell you.
That's wrong, Leroy. The ball is the issue. I don't care if you get put to sleep on here. You better go to sleep holding that ball.
That's what they say.
You get hit
In
someplace.
theory,
All
I'm
them
gonna tell you
people that
what.
went to sleep holding the ball, like knocked out, but holding on to the football.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you like this. I've gotten hit, and I broke some ribs one time, and I was like, "This is it. I'm dead," because I couldn't breathe.
dead.
I wasn't get. You know when you get hurt, you can't really get oxygen like you want to.
Right.
You just have your mouth open. Like,
and then some smart ass always come out and say, "Relax and breathe."
oh, relax.
Don't tell me to relax.
That was Bernie Kosar.
Nah, no. One time, how about this? One time I ran a little swing pass, and I saw the linebacker covering me, and so I didn't think I was gonna get the ball. And Vinny was under pressure, and he flicked it out to me.
Vinny is
And I was like, as the ball was in the air, I'm like, it's gonna hurt. But you know, you don't want your team or players to ever see you making business decisions, right? So I caught the ball, right? And he hit me so hard in my back that I broke 2 ribs or 3 ribs in the front.
Damn.
And I got back to the huddle, and Vinny goes, "You all right? My bad." I said, "You think?" I said, I think I'm coughing up blood. I got blood in my mouth, and your reply is my bad. You know.
Hey, Leroy.
So,
Yeah, I want to get back to the game here for a minute because the Browns have a center who's never played for the Browns, Ethan Pocic, who's played with Seattle, but he's basically a draft bust. He's a guy you thought would be their third tight end a few months ago. And then at right tackle, Jack Conklin might not play. It could be the young guy Hudson. It could be Hubbard, who they got from Pittsburgh a couple of years ago. We know the Browns' offensive line overall last few years has been really good. How concerned are you about those two spots, especially affecting the running game?
not at all.
Okay, good.
Because when you have a good offensive line, it's pretty amazing that if you plug somebody else in, they all seem to work well together. That's what a good offensive line is. A good offensive line is not just your 5 guys. You know, a good offensive line can go 7 or 8 deep. You can have a guard that can play center. You can have, you know, your left tackle, your backup left tackle might be able to move over to right tackle and give you a spell. So when the unit is good, you might not be as good as you would be with your stars, but you still good enough because that unit is good. And the guys are good. The guys you can depend on ain't going to let the other guys slip. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of things that go on the offensive line is buddy-buddy. Me and you team up to this guy. Me and you work with these two. Us two have these two. So you always working together. It's not just one guy. Very rarely is one guy going to get singled out. But I will say this. If they find a soft spot, they going to come after him.
Yeah, they will. In the game notes this morning, Bull, the Browns released their game notes this morning, and it was interesting. They didn't definitively say that Conklin was going to play, right. But when they listed the starters, he was listed, and they also made mention of the fact that he's never missed a game. He's started all the games that he's played in. And I didn't know that was true.
What do you mean started all the games that he played in?
They just said at the bottom of his bio in the starters notes that Conklin hasn't missed a game.
But he has missed plenty of games. What I don't understand.
I didn't.
If he was available, he started.
Yes, games that he's.
Oh.
So when
if he's not listed as out.
Yes, he's played.
Oh, okay.
And speaking of not out,
and he's not listed as out.
Gotcha.
The audio issues with Robert Smith.
Oh,
Robert,
good.
Give us a check real quick. We can't actually test mic checks before they're on air. So
okay.
This is an on-air mic check.
Okay, here we go.
There we go.
Let's go.
Now, there we go.
Well done.
Tell him about your teeth, Robert.
Hey, yeah.
He called your teeth chiclets.
I'll tell the chiclet story, but I got to let Leroy know that I put on the Sally Jesse Raphael.
What a name, bro. Where's she at?
Oh, we need the bright reds. The bright reds.
Leroy was so mad at me. I had these on down in Florida, and he's like, "Man, what are you doing wearing them readers?" Like, hey, I go to Walmart and buy them cheap 3-packs. I'm like Fred Sanford now. I got like a whole drawer full of them.
Me too. I lose them. I lose a pair a week.
But he was mad at me for wearing them, so I said I'm going to wear them every time I'm around. Too annoying.
Man, them is bifocals a little low key.
Yeah. But he's not lying about the teeth. After my rookie season, I stopped wearing a mouthpiece, and in 1998 we had a game up in Chicago, and it was the football gods getting me back because I was running down on a long touchdown run, and Randy Moss came up and high-fived me, a little bit of showboating, got in the end zone. Took off my chin strap, end zone celebration. Big Dave Dixon, our right guard, 6'5", 350 pounds, comes over, gives me a big bear hug, and my helmet comes down and knocks out most of my 2 front teeth. So you got to be careful with the mouthpiece. It's so funny, man. I went back and watched the game copy, like the TV copy of that game. And I can see on the way back to the sideline, I'm stopping in the middle of Soldier Field, like spitting my teeth out on the field. So.
Man, that's crazy.
Look at Leroy. So you telling me there was no DB that neither one of y'all feared, like as a running back?
A DB?
Yeah, DB. Don't do that. Hold on. Wait a minute. Don't do that.
Hey, Robert.
Don't do that.
Robert, he plays DB, so he thinks that somebody amongst his craft was scary. Now I will tell you this: when you play against Ronnie Lott,
I was
Yeah,
You had to
about
lay
that.
on the ground till he came over the pile.
Hey, now there are guys that you respect. Like Darren Woodson caught me it was a Sunday night game. It was at 6 Days to Sunday, which was, I guess, kind of the precursor to Hard Knocks. And they did all the shows that week. We played the Sunday night game, and it was a run to the left. I'll never forget it, up in the Metrodome, run to the left side, and Jake Reed's coming down for a block. I think he's going to get this guy, so I got my eyes somewhere else, which was the biggest mistake. Man, he caught me so clean in my stomach, and I swear this had never happened to me before. They need to tell everybody that plays football, you might get the breath knocked out of you, and you might feel like you're going to die.
That's what Leroy
This is a second near death.
Leroy's.
Hey,
I swear that I was on the field gasping, and I was thinking I'm gonna die on national TV. And I'm walking in the sideline, and I'm laughing my tail off, and they're like, "What are you laughing about?" I was like, 10 seconds ago, I thought I was gonna die. They need to tell folks, hey, it's okay, man. You're gonna be able to breathe, and just give it a few seconds.
Yeah, but in the moment.
Playing running back is a hit or miss kind of situation. You got to learn a lot of the stuff you learn on the job. For example, we were playing, I forget who we were playing. It was Denver. And it was either Denver or San Francisco. And the whole week we run the screen pass, and Carl, our coach, would say, hey, you go in, you go back out. You go in, you don't cut it across the field. I say, man, I've been to a Pro Bowl. I got this, Carl. We get in the game. I catch it. Offensive lineman go by. I cut it. Back. Boom. That was it.
Go to sleep, Leroy. Go to sleep.
Hit me. When I opened my eyes, I thought I was at a photo shoot. Everybody was taking my picture. The trainer came out, and he said, Leroy, where are you? Got it. Asked me another question. Got it. He say, do you know who hit you? I say, hell, Freddie, if I saw somebody coming at me, I would have got the hell out of his way. No, I don't know who hit me. And I had been there for 2 weeks. I had just got there in Minnesota.
And nothing but support and love on the sideline.
Yeah, sure.
From his teammates.
You know what they were doing?
Hey,
we had one guy running behind me going, I'm Batman. That's during the game. Another guy came over, sat next to me and say, give me a Caesar salad, a bus pass, and some bonbons. I'm like, wow.
Leroy, give us a number before we say goodbye. What's the score Sunday?
20-14 Browns.
I love it. All right, very good. Very good. Leroy, we'll see you next week, man. Enjoy the game Sunday. Enjoy the game.
Later, Robert.
You going down in
all
fantasy?
right, Elroy.
Are you playing in the fantasy this week?
Yeah, he about to lose.
Yes.
He about to lose.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for the great state
As
of
long as you
Ohio.
think, as long as you think there's hard-hitting DBs, you ain't gonna beat me.
Leroy, thanks. We'll see you next week.